To the podcast, hablemos de lo nuevo. For the G's, by the G's, que pasa en el terreno. Vienen jugadores y se van, traiga lo nuevo. A huevo. Doesn't matter where you from. Salvador, Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua. Todo mi latino, come and listen for an hour. TikTok, que traemos lo que quiere. Todo lo que pasa dentro y fuera de las redes. Really? You don't know what it is. Reportamos con la lupa what we see at the digs. En las buenas y en las malas yo diré la verdad. Si cometen un error o tienen habilidad, la calidad del rival cuando viene a jugar. Facts. Yo no me muerdo la lengua. Got love for the crest in the city I came from. Los campeones de campeones y con copas mi race. No empezamos el programa, soy la voz de LA One. Soy la voz de LA One. Love. Yeah.
Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome back to another episode of La Cuna Galaxiana. This podcast is always made with love for all of you LA Galaxy fans out there, wherever you may be, and all you La Cuna Galaxians. Thank you so much once again for being with us. For all those of you that are in chat, thank you so much. We do appreciate it. We do appreciate the love and you coming back and hanging out with us today. It's going to be a good one. The LA Galaxy roster is starting to take shape with the news of players being re-signed and new players incoming. We'll be joined by special guest LA Galaxy General Manager Will Kuntz, who will be here to share his thoughts on the transfer window, the challenges the champs have faced in the offseason, and his assessment of the new arrivals. Plus, the Galaxy played a soccer game today, which we will recap for you, and we'll bring Will on just shortly. But before we do, let me introduce myself. I am one of your co-hosts, Rob Halon. You can find my written work at Extra Time Talk and Breaking News Ananda pretty soon at the Sporting Tribune as well, under the great Arash Markazi. I mean, synonymous with Lakers coverage. So shout out Arash. And you can find me online at El Escudero de LA. And since I already shouted him out, Anandita Kirana, my co-host, El Yerno Guapo y El Gitano Perdido. Welcome back, papá. Es un gran día porque tenemos a un gran hombre aquí con nosotros, ¿verdad?
Un gran día y un gran hombre. Ojalá mi gran internet se pueda aguantar toda la velocidad que va a tener en este podcast, porque va a estar en fuego, va a estar on fire, porque tenemos el hombre, lo más importante, uno de los más importantes en este club. Ya lo sabes quién es. This is the guy, man. This is the guy that brought us that 6-star. You know, I was reading the other day, I believe Adidas has never run into this issue with trying to add a 6-star in its history. So, hey, we are just in a historical club, man. That feels good.
Trendsetters all the way around, right? You know, guys, we are here in season 3. We do want to thank you guys for always supporting the show, man. We couldn't have made it to season 3 without you guys. And you know, for all 432 of you that have subscribed to this channel, we do appreciate it. We are trying to get to 500 before the season starts, the season proper, that is on February 23rd against San Diego. So if you know someone and they don't have that subscribe on this podcast, go ahead and hook them up, show them some love. So you know where to find it. youtube.com/@La Cuna Galaxiana. And you guys, thank you so much for all of you guys that are donating to our Buy Me a Coffee Fund or Chata Fund. You know, in lieu of that, go ahead and keep helping out your fellow Angelinos here that you know have been impacted by the wildfires out there. I mean, it's not over, guys. I mean, even though it's kind of out of the news cycle, you still want to get out there and keep helping your fellow Angelinos. So before we go any further, Ananda, go ahead and do your thing, and then we'll get to the man of the hour.
Yeah, and I was just saying, just to follow that up, Rob, you know, I was just saying to my wife earlier, man, you know, doing a little early spring cleaning and, you know, going through all the clothes and stuff, and even just thinking about Jalen's, you know, the work that he does with his clothing drive. Just, man, anything that you guys can donate, it doesn't have to be money. It could just be, you know, food, supplies, your time even, right, Rob, your time, just anything, of course. The city's gone through a lot in the last couple of weeks. So just anything that you could do. I've seen some really, really good stories out there on X, Rob, with some of the G's, how they've been helping out the community. So guys, just get out there and lend a helping hand. Like, even if it's just, 10, 15 minutes of your time, it really does mean a lot. So just wanted to cap it off with that for sure. But of course, guys, in terms of this show, you guys can always follow, block me, or stalk me at Ananda Galaxiana. And of course, you can find this podcast on all of your favorite socials, all of your favorite audio and video dispensers out there. That would be, the tag is La Cuna Galaxiana. Pretty simple. And of course, as Rob just said just a moment ago, we are on the race to 500, guys. So it would be awesome if we can get there before the first game of the season. Rob, that is less than a month away, man. I can't believe it. This offseason has been so short. But you know what? When an offseason is short, that's a good sign. That means you in those playoffs for a little while, right? You in those playoffs for a damn long time. And luckily enough, we were the team there that was in the playoffs. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But season's coming up shortly, and like we said, can't wait to go over that with the man over the hour himself. And of course, Papa, como siempre, antes de olvidarme, buenos días o noches y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de La Cuna Galaxiana. Season 3, guys. We have not been canceled, so we thank you all so much for the support.
Yeah, wow. Season 3, we haven't been canceled. And not only have we not been canceled, man, I mean, this next gentleman has been nice enough to be with us now, once and again tonight. I mean, it's out of the million things in life that this guy could be doing, he's been gracious enough to give us his time. I mean, he's the man that brought you the 6th title, just 4 away from 5 more, just like he said. I don't put it past him that he's going to do it. I mean, he needs no introduction. I think people know him as the chef. We know him as just Will Kuntz, man.
But he says he doesn't like that so much because it makes him hungry, and I got it. I could see that,
Oh, well, I mean, but that's the one that like Galaxy fans love, though, right? But
ya lo sé, papa. Pero bueno.
Honestly, like I whenever I hear like Will now, like I just think Will Kuntz. So I mean, I don't know if he has a little bit of Brazilian blood in him, but that's one of those one name things. Will, automatically Will Kuntz, and I think it's time, right, Ananda? We've mentioned him already. Brought you the 6th star, and man, he did it with style. Please help us welcome back to the show once again, LA Galaxy General Manager Will Kuntz.
Hey, mi gente, feliz año nuevo.
Hey,
feliz año nuevo.
Para usted también. I'm doing wonderful. Will, you never cease to amaze me, man. You took those questions the other day in media day in Spanish, like, man, you've been speaking it your entire life. Suenas muy bien.
Gracias. Trying to.
Yeah, no, I mean, Ananda, he picked up the language himself, and so trust me, he knows exactly, the struggle of trying to learn a different language. But Will, we did mention you've been gracious enough to hang out with us now. This is your 2nd time, and it's the craziest time of the season for you. It's the transfer window, but also more importantly, it's the turbulent period here in LA with the wildfires. Really quick, I just wanted to make sure that you and your family, you and yours are okay. You haven't been impacted by the fires.
Yeah, and thankfully, our immediate family has been okay down here in Venice. But I think you guys had a really good message a few minutes ago. I mean, we all know somebody who's been impacted, and we're all part of this city, right, and in this greater community. And there's so many people out there who need our help. So, I have a couple friends who live in the Palisades, and they're struggling right now. So while we feel really blessed to be okay, there's still a lot that we can do for other people. So keeping everybody in mind and trying to do what we can to help out.
Yeah, and we felt that in this community. A couple of G's were out there feeling it personally, and the Galaxy has been very active in helping out that community. The team partnered on the 17th with 11 other LA sports teams to help out fellow Angelinos, and just getting boots on the ground and making themselves seen. You've even been involved in a video recently with a family of G's that lost their home, and unfortunately their entire Galaxy kit collection. What was that moment like for you to be able to, with amidst tragedy, go ahead and give like that silver lining of hope.
No, it was great to be there for Lucian and his pops as they came in. I don't think they knew what to expect, and obviously to bring them into our building, to our lounge, to our locker room, to have them meet some of the guys. Whether it's President Tom Braun, Mauricio Cuevas, Maya Yoshida, got a message from Kobe Jones. I mean, it was really special, and it was great to do something. You just wish you could do that for everybody who's been affected, right? Because there have been so many people who've reached out, since then, but even before then, saying, "Hey, can I just get like a pair of shoes? Can we get some shorts?" I mean, just the idea of losing so much and like that is really tough. But a really special day. Really glad we could be a part of it. Fanatics did a great job. And we kind of got an advance word that Lucian was also an Arsenal fan, so there was some Arsenal gear in there. So it was great, and I think it speaks to just what a special club and community we're part of.
You made Ananda's day because he's that huge gooner over here on this pod. So glory Man United is all I gotta say.
Tough times.
Yeah. Oh man, brother, you have no idea. But I see that MLS Cup on your chest right there. Last time you were here was about a month and a half ago during the business end of the season, the playoffs. Just a few games to go until ultimately you guys would lift that six. You oversaw a revolutionary year, basically, what was supposed to be a rebuild year, and then you guys lifted that sixth title in front of your home fans. What was that day like for you? Did you have a moment's peace at all?
Yeah, that day was well, I can't believe it was only a month and a half ago, right? But yeah, a really special day, and just waking up, right, going to bed the night before, it's going to be a special day, and when you think of everything that we'd accomplished over the course of the season, what was still ahead of us, we were just excited, and we stayed downtown as a team actually on, I guess, Saturday night, right, and got ready to, or Friday night, and got ready to go down to the stadium together. So it had a different atmosphere, even just getting on a bus to go to the digs and be part of a home game. But yeah, it was really, it was nerve wracking. It was fraught. We had a great start, but then, it's a cup final, right? So things get a little cagey. Red Bull made some good adjustments.
Yeah.
And I thought our guys did a really great job just sort of fighting through. And I think there was a moment after the field when my parents were out, they came out from New York, and just seeing my parents on the field and seeing them come back, like that was kind of really special, right? So you obviously, all the families coming down, and then look at, I know the players, the technical staff get a lot of the shine, but it's the support staff behind us. It's the
Right.
the families, the partners, the children who sacrifice so much that it doesn't get seen, and so just to have everybody there with us on the field was really special.
And then just a couple of days later, there's a celebration, and there's the families are afoot. I'm taking photos and video, and at one point I see this blur of Luke Robitaille jersey run through and start tagging up the wall. That was my fondest moment of that celebration. Definitely, never seen that before. But what was your fondest memory of that day?
And of the day after, or
the celebration.
I think it was just, man, I mean, it's tough, right? I mean, Ricky taking over, from the legendary Joe T, and then just going sort of solo on the emceeing, I thought was great. Mickey's celebration, Mickey's reaction would be pretty tough to top, right? And some of those of us who were there in the preseason had kind of seen his Apple Pen dance and song before, but I thought it was really great to kind of, for everybody else to kind of see what Mickey's about. But I think the highlight has got to be the impromptu Joe Payne Still concert, when he busted out Blessings, because you didn't know if it was going to come off or not, right? Like, we're kind of calling for it, but I didn't know if they had the track ready. And then Joe looked a little bit nervous, and then just like that, he was into it, right? So, but so many great just memories of being up on that stage and seeing the crowd in front of us and everybody kind of getting their chance to sort of be recognized and say their piece. I think that's really great about when Ricky took over. He made sure that everybody there got to see everybody on the stage, right? So it wasn't just the DPs or the headline players. It was everybody. And so, look, some guys weren't necessarily in the best shape, right, to go on for a long time. But I thought it was really great to get that sense of where everybody was at, and just a really great way to put a bow on an incredible year, an incredible season.
Yeah, Ricky Ananda wasn't there, so I had to fill him in later. But yeah, Ricky did take over the mic, and he was one of the players that mentioned a seventh trophy already. I mean, just a day after, lifting the sixth, he's already talking about a seventh. A couple other players did as well. How soon did you get back into business mode of trying to, identify players or trying to look at things that you can improve in this team for the title defense?
I mean, listen, I'm a little messed up in the way I go about my business. So we were already kind of looking towards, this coming season, really in the later rounds of the playoffs. Because the reality is there's a lot of teams that are out of the playoffs and they're already starting to line up moves. There's calls taking place around the league as teams are kind of jockeying. It's also kind of a privileged position. Once we get going, I mean, I'm not going to do anything on the game day, right? I'm just trying to not get in the way, hype guys up a little bit. But my job is really to kind of focus on the future. And so, we were kind of hard at work planning on what this year could look like. And then, you have about 48 hours to really soak it all in. But then Monday comes, and it's like, all right, we got a smaller runway compared to everybody else. There's some teams that have had, more than twice as much time in the offseason, and they've had their time to prepare, make their calls, and kind of select their targets. And so we really had to kind of kick it into overdrive starting that Monday.
Yeah, well, and just, hitting on the fact that you're hitting it on overdrive right away, and you're starting that work early, as you were thinking about trying to build this repeat championship team, what was the biggest challenge or obstacle you faced? I guess first in regard to managing, or as we were seeing, rebuilding the squad essentially in the current roster, and secondly, just in the transfer market in terms of any market forces that you saw happening with identifying and then pursuing that talent.
The biggest challenge that we face, I think everybody's seen it, is that this league makes it really difficult to maintain consistency with the roster, especially when you win. And there's so many little, rules and details that go into it. But really, it's, every bonus that was achieved last year, and when you win MLS Cup, you kind of achieve as many bonuses as possible. Those count against the salary cap in future years.
Wow.
Things just get really difficult, and that's been, the driving force behind a lot of the change that we've seen in the roster. If this was a different league, you say, hey, we keep this group together and we keep pressing forward. But you have to make some really difficult choices because we're in a salary cap environment that I think are the kind of the biggest challenge. And then as it goes towards market factors, we're now in the winter window, which is the primary window for MLS, but it's the secondary window for the most of the world. And so you don't have as many players available. Teams are in the midst of their seasons, and a lot of teams are either kind of going for the title or trying to stay up. And there's not a large number of teams that have players to spare, and so it's an inefficient window, especially if you're looking in certain markets, and trying to balance that and figure out what we need, how our roster is shaping up. Just like last year, I think it's really important to have as much of our roster together as soon as possible. And that's kind of doubly so because, we're going to be down without Ricky for a good portion of the season as he recovers from his injury. And again, having a group together, as early in the preseason as possible is really important for us.
Will, what exactly were you looking for? What profile of player attributes or positions were you looking for? Was that kind of already set in your mind where you would strengthen?
Yeah, you always have kind of an idea of what you need, and as far as attributes, whatever the position is, it's character and competitiveness are sort of the two driving forces, and then we've got our profiles for each position. But it doesn't serve to be able to play the way we need you to play if you're not serious about your work every day in training, if you're not a great guy and competitive guy. And look, that doesn't mean we always get along all the time. That means that, you're able to sort of give up a part of yourself to be part of something bigger. And that's really important. And then we knew, especially after the Seattle game, we had a really good idea that we need some help, depending on Ricky's recovery, right? And lump onto that we've got Champions League, we're at Champions Cup competition. So a lot of really high leverage, important games, potentially international travel that come really early in the season, and having a few more pieces to be able to rotate the squad was also really important. So looking to build out some depth in the middle, and then also making sure that we could stay pretty consistent with our back line were kind of the key areas of focus.
You spoke about character, and I had the opportunity on Media Day a couple days ago to meet Elijah Winder, and fantastic human being. So over the weekend, of course, you already knew this, but the Galaxy, this is for more chat than yourself, the Galaxy announced a signing of 21-year-old Elijah Winder from USL side Louisville City through 2027 with a club option for 2028. Chat, if you're not familiar with Elijah, he was just named USL Young Player of the Year in 2024. And I asked him the other day what his personal goals were, and he told me score goals, break up plays, protect the defense, and contribute to the team in any way possible. How did this deal come about? Was this a player that you guys had been scouting for a while? And does he check off those characters, that character box for you?
Yeah, no doubt. Elijah's a guy we're really excited about. It's a guy that has been on the radar for a number of years. He and his brother both came through the Louisville system, and his brother's now in Portugal at Benfica. And they're both guys that you always kind of felt like somehow we missed on them, right? We being MLS, they were always outside the system. And it's a testament to the job that Louisville's done with their academy and their player development, that they were able to develop and keep these two singular talents there. But Elijah is a name that we've known, and we always knew that we wanted to, again, continue to have a mix of sort of youth and experience in our squad. And how can we find young players who have growth potential, who have the technical abilities that we're looking for now, so they can help in the short term, but also have bigger upside. And Elijah really ticked a lot of those boxes, and so we continue to kind of watch him and saw how he progressed over the course of the season, and felt pretty confident that he was a guy who could come in and really be additive to our group, right? And that's really saying something. You got guys like Ricky or Marco Royce or Edwin Cerrillo, guys who've been around for a little bit, and we're really excited about the package he brings, his physical ability, his technical ability, and then, like I said, his character, his makeup. We've heard nothing but great things, and it hasn't been a really long time, but everything we've seen so far has been really exciting.
Yeah, well, we're excited to see him in the CVI for sure in the next couple of weeks here. But just a quick follow up on that. Do you think that USL in general, do you think that that's an untapped and overlooked league? I mean, I know you've unearthed a lot of gems in J League, for example. We just signed a couple folks from the Belgian league. Do you think the USL is an untapped market? And we've seen recently, the likes of Diego Luna, right, have success and come through that league. So what do you think?
No doubt. There's a lot of really great players in the USL. It's a really varied league in terms of that age and experience profile. You've got a lot of guys who are coming out of college, a lot of guys who are in the midst of their career, ends of their career, and it's a different level. It's a different type of game that they play there as compared to maybe an MLS Next Pro. And so I think it's a really viable place to go find some talent, and the market's bore that out. And that's not just guys at the highest end, but I think there's a lot of players there that you might overlook, but can really do a solid job.
Yeah, definitely. Just switching gears for a second, Will, last year you said, a special moment for you was when the crowd chanted, "We want Peck," right, early in the season, which kind of gave you the confidence that the way you're constructing the team in the right way. And in just a few short weeks, we've seen two important senior members of that midfield depart. And those moves came quickly and decisively while you've constructed a new look midfield. So, how do you view those new midfield arrivals like Elijah? And of course, we know that there is one sort of, imminent or in the works, I guess. And how do they fit tactically, do you think, in the way that Greggs wants to play ball?
Don't forget Sean Davis either.
And Sean Davis.
I think all our new additions, all our new additions can cover ground, which I think is really important. Right? Again, you talk about just the schedule congestion, what we need to have in terms of just whether it's ground cover or physicality and presence. That's a really big thing for us, making sure that we can have a midfield that helps solidify basically our attack and our defense, and give us the ability to snuff out things in transition, maybe be a little more mobile overall, and in possession, out of possession. I think that's really important. And so everybody we're looking at, I think, has that first and foremost capacity to cover ground, and the competitive guys with technical ability. And I think there's a really consistent, demanding sort of style of play that Greg has, right, and what he wants from his midfielders and how we manipulate opponents. So we feel comfortable with these guys coming in and have qualities that we can work with. It's also going to be a different look without Ricky for the first part of the year.
Right.
And so it's almost like you got two parts of the season, right? You've got the kind of just adapting to our, philosophy and style of play. And then, how do we then shift over when Ricky's back in the mix? And so like you really, it's a good problem to have, right? Knowing that Ricky's going to be coming back in the middle of the season. But it's going to ask a lot of these guys and a lot of the guys who are already around. And that's where I think, again, you've got a really strong core of guys who know the system, who've been around, who can help new guys adapt. And that's not just new young guys, right? Sean Davis is a good example of a guy who's going to still, even for all his experience in the league, the way we play is a little bit different. And so, he's going to have a little learning curve. And so it's a lot of change in the middle, but we feel really good about the guys that we have and the group that we have to kind of help them acclimate.
Well, the other day when we saw each other, I asked you a question about the academy players that were coming through, these homegrown players that have been signed. I mean, Pepe Magaña's nice, man. I like him a lot. And then, of course, Vicente Garcia, 14 years old. And you're seeing these players come in from the academy to the second team and then ultimately to the first team, getting those chances. I mean, we saw it last year with Harper Miller, who then scored a goal in front of his parents, which was awesome. We're already here. We're already in the season. First preseason game was today. CVI is just around the corner. Who or what are you most looking forward to seeing at the CVI?
I think for me, look, it's a great opportunity to see a lot of the guys that we have in our mix. When you think about the guys who, you talked about, whether it's Vinny and Pepe, they're the kind of more recent group. And like I said last week, they're the product of a lot of good work that's happened in the past few years. But Ruben Ramos is a guy who we signed last year. I think Ruben's got a ton of special qualities. He's a great kid, comes from a great family, works hard. And I think he's a guy that, we'll get to see some of when we go out to the desert. And there's a lot of guys there that I think are exciting, and I look forward to seeing. But Ruben's probably the guy who I think is furthest along and has put himself in a really good position.
Well, chat, we have just one more question for LA Galaxy General Manager Will Kuntz before he takes off. Before he takes off, we want to thank him so much for being with us once again and being so gracious with his time on this humble little pod. Absolutely no reason to. And I mean, thank you so much for it. Really quick, last question for me. Is the Galaxy done in the window?
Look, you never want to say you're done in the window. I mean, for sure, we got another midfield piece we want to bring in. It's always a matter of seeing what's out there. We're now at a point where we're looking at not really having any roster spots available. So to do anything in the window would probably mean moving something out. Look, I think we're in a pretty good spot with the roster, but you always have to be prepared to pivot if something comes up, right? And so that's the work, right? We kind of try and think 2 to 3 windows ahead. So we've got some short-term contingencies if something happens, and we've got sort of what the summer might look like, and then we're starting to put together what next winter could look like as well. So and you never know. There's always things that come up in the league as teams advance in their preseason, whether it's guys getting hurt, some guys coming back to health, some teams have plans from players outside the league that fall through or that go through, and then there's always some movement in the league and the opportunity, I think, to get a little better within the league too. So long-winded way of saying would never say that we're done this early, but again, when you talk about having that core intact, I think compared to where we were last year, where I think I spent most of my time in Coachella trying to get Joe Paintsill done, and Gabriel Beck was still with the U23s. It feels like we still have a lot to come together and crystallize, but I think we're actually in a more advanced position than we were a year ago. So knock wood as I say that, but you can never shut it off. The window's open until about April. So we have to be ready for anything, right? But I think the plan is to start it, you know, strong as we can, and then if we need to pivot, then we pivot.
Absolutely.
Will, thank you so much for stopping by. Chat, put your hands together for the man that brought you the 6th MLS title.
One of the men and women who brought you the title. Like, don't believe the hype. Trust me, there is an army of really talented people that go, you know, put their all into this. And I think I've got one of the easiest jobs out there trying to sell this club. So it is a collective team effort from top to bottom. But I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Will.
Thank you so much.
Saludos,
Muchas
saludos a la
gracias.
familia y bendiciones. Muchas gracias de nuevo.
Muchas gracias. Un placer como siempre.
Gracias,
Sir.
Will.
Ciao.
So Ananda, you heard it here first.
We heard a lot first. He's not the only man, Rob. We gotta prop up the whole team. It's a team effort. There's no
for sure. Yeah, for sure. And you know what? It really is a team effort because, you know, I've had the pleasure of meeting Gordon Klestjen, you know, before Mikey Stevens was in Chicago. I had the pleasure of meeting him. So, you know, it really is a team effort, and all like Will mentioned, that support staff that is huge, and not just the support staff, but like the families and everything like that. So when you really think about the LA Galaxy winning that title, it's not just the 11 on the field. It is
absolutely
really probably a whole crew numbering in the hundreds. So Ananda, before we go any further, I just got to say, while we have your attention, chat, we got to put it out there one more time. Thank you guys for being here. And if you would be so kind, because Ananda told me that 1/3 of you guys that listen don't subscribe. So I got to put it out there. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
I am a stats guy.
It really is very easy. Just hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit that like, and, you know, we'll love you forever, for sure. But what did you learn, Ananda? What was the biggest thing that stuck out to you?
Oh man, there was a lot of things that stuck out to me. Honestly, I think it's the last bit, Rob. Maybe this is recency bias, but like, you know, he thinks that most of this roster is intact, which I agree with him, by the way. The foundational pieces, I 100% agree.
The core is there.
And I want to combine this answer with the answer that he gave during Media Day. I believe Josh asked him this question. And we'll talk about some of those comments from him and Greg Vanney as well from Media Day. We'll recap that. But based off of that and what he said then, which was now I'm trying to think the exact words he said, but basically, like, you know, there's always a window of opportunity and we're up against it. So what I'm trying to say is I'm hoping that, like, we no longer have a math problem, if that makes sense. Like, we don't have to look at Joveljic, we don't have to look at Fagundes, right, and shed those salaries because we're still up against it, and that we're safe and that the core pieces are there. Now it's maybe just, you know, fringes or market opportunities, right? We talked about that on this show in terms of if a big offer comes in for, you know, who knows, Gabriel Peck, Dejan Joveljic, right? If a big offer comes, I mean, considering, you know, he is acting in the best interest of the club and the ownership, like, he's got to look at it, right, Rob? So never say never, but I'm pretty confident in the core that we have. And I wholeheartedly, I was head nodding that whole time because I agree with him in that I think the foundational pieces are there. I think the core pieces are there. Now it's just a matter of addition. The other thing we got to think about too, Rob, is flexibility, right? So remember what we did with Marco Reus last year. We built in that buffer to look to see how we progress through the first 2/3 of the season.
Right.
Come into that transfer
window.
You can
do in that. Exactly.
That's right. Right. And it's ironic that Marco Reus seems to be the guy that's kind of, he was kind of the domino piece that, like, put us kind of in this position on top of the Joveljic and Gabriel Peck. That was the biggest factor. That was like $1 million, right? But then you got to think, like, we signed this guy for like $1.6 million. Push back. I'm
gonna push back because
pushback.
something that I took away, because, you know, Will did tell us the other day in Media Day that, you know, it's kind of like they're getting punished for winning, you know, and then no one's gonna cry for the LA Galaxy, right? But you know, you're being punished for being successful. I didn't know that, you know, like the bonuses and stuff like that the team won, because, you know, the team wins money and, you know, like bonuses for winning, that those count against the cap. I mean, that should just be like free money, man. Like the fact that counts against your cap, is it really even a prize at that point? Like,
Yeah,
so
good point.
that was the big one that stuck out to me. I was like, why would you even take the money? It's like, come on, you're giving me this money and it's going to count against me. That's not cool.
I've said this before and I'll say this again. This is why we are in our chairs and he is where he is, right? He is the master of this. And this is the thing that gets me. And like, I saw like, maybe it was tongue in cheek and maybe like I overreacted when I first saw it. Cause like sometimes you see things and you're like totally appalled. But the whole, like, I saw a comment with like Kuntz is on fraud watch, blah, blah. I just want to remind all of you guys that are listening, what happens when you have a guy in charge that is not in tune with MLS rules, or maybe he was in tune with MLS rules, but he decides to circumvent it. I want to remind you guys what happens when a person that is not acting in the best interest of the club, what happens in that case? That's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to leave it there, right? So again, we got to trust in this guy. He has delivered us a championship. I think he has 5 years of credit in the bank, at least, right? With delivering a championship, Rob, in basically year 1.5.
I'm going to push back on that one too. From his own mouth, and I think I've said it in this pod before, like, he said it's not a matter of, because he was asked, when will you see those Kuntz out hashtags? He already knows that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, so and honestly, like, you would think that yes, Galaxy fans are going to be thankful and build in that social credit, right? But let's be honest. I mean,
he's got my credit.
I mean, brother, me too. But honestly, like, there was a preseason match today, and the Galaxy lost, and people reacted like it was a loss in MLS Cup. So I mean, that's just kind of like where I'm at there. Like for us, he has that built-in social credit, but for others, he might not. But he knows that, and he's okay with that. So I mean, that's a a little pushback on what you were saying.
But that's just a testament to him and his character and the way he approaches his job. And, again, I just want to bring that up. And like, you put things in perspective and you think about what happens when we don't have a guy that doesn't, that doesn't adhere to salary cap rules, etc., or misdesignates players. So, anyways,
I wonder when that could happen. Look, another thing I took away from this conversation with Will is like totally on with like no footballing at all. Like, I want to invite him to the cookout for sure, man. Like honestly, I just think Will would be great to have like at the cookout. Like whenever your wife is making that paella, or we're cooking that up that pork belly, like he would be a cool dude to be like hanging out with and just eating some food with, man. Like the la sobremesa, right? And then
exactly.
Hell of an intelligent person too. So I mean, like I wonder when you're not talking football, what kind of stuff he's talking about. So anyway, well, I'm gonna make some food just so I can invite him over one day.
well, chat. By the way, I just want to say what's up to everyone in chat too, because you guys are they always talk about food, Baba, and they make me hungry. These guys. I think they're talking about. I'm trying to catch up on the conversation here, but I was trying to pinch in all the guys. I'm trying to be a responsible podcaster and listen to our guests. But you guys talking about food, I think they're talking about CVI here.
Yeah, this is the CVI food, man.
Yeah. I mean, did I have food there last? I don't think I did. I think I just had a drink. But anyways, I just want to say what's up to everyone in chat. Marvin, Football Mania, G Cam, Studio, Raul G, Andrew. Thanks for being in the chat, Papa. Thanks for joining us. Just too many people to call it. Pottermiss, what's up, man?
Pottermiss.
Yeah, so there you go.
Oh, Leo's just got up in here.
Big Leo just got home from having Cajun shrimp.
Oh man, he's talking about food too. Cajun shrimp. Damn. Okay. Look, one day we're gonna have to have the Lacuna cookout, and everybody's gonna have to bring their dish, and it's gonna be a grand old time. But yeah, man. I mean, it was really insightful again to talk to. I mean, I did talk to him a couple of days ago at Galaxy Media Day, and got to talk to him about a couple of these things. But it's always nice to go a little bit further, a little bit deeper, and get I mean, he's the guy. Like, if you want to know about what the Galaxy is doing in the transfer window, I mean, he's literally the guy to talk to. He did say, it's not just me. That's just Will being humble, but at least in terms of if you want to know what the Galaxy is doing, he's the guy to talk to. But we did have a bunch of Galaxy news in the past week since we last saw you, chat, on Monday. That was a week ago. In that time, we've had Galaxy Media Day, so we'll tell you everything we learned from there. But the Galaxy have made some official signings or re-signings as well. The first one was Eric Zavaleta. He was announced the day of Media Day.
Wait, hold on. This guy?
Zava? Yeah. No, not that Zava. The other right? Zava.
My bad. Oh, this guy. Okay, got it. Got you.
Yeah, that's Zava right there. So, although I like the other Zava too, but yeah, man. Eric Zavaleta signs for 1 more year, a 1-year deal through the end of 2025. The Galaxy announced on Thursday, which was Media Day. The 32-year-old, he begins his 4th season with the Galaxy after having recorded 3 goals in 25 career matches played, 12 starts across all competitions. He played in 7 matches last year and recorded 1 goal in 15 minutes played. From Will's mouth the other day, it's and he said this in Spanish because La Colega Moni Delgado did ask him about Eric Zavaleta and him returning. So he said es como tener otro técnico en el vestuario, which means he's like having another coach in the dressing room. And so that's the influence that Eric Zavaleta has on these young players. I mean, I did see a lot of adverse reaction to his re-signing, and XPH says, I don't get the Zavaleta hate. Player teammates respect him. I mean, far and away, like we don't see what goes on in that dressing room, and like XPH says, players, teammates, they respect him. They look to him. He's one of those players that he might not get a lot of game time. I mean, I was very surprised to see that he's only played 25 career matches over the 4 seasons, right? So, but he just like Football Mania says, he's an experienced player. He's only on 80K, which as a supplemental player, he doesn't go against your cap anyway. So everybody that's like, oh, they let so-and-so go, but they re-signed Zavaleta, like, yeah, it's not really working like that because he's not counting against your cap. So, you have an experienced player, and honestly, for what I think in the depth chart will probably be your 4th center back. I mean, he's a fine 4th option if you have your starters injured. I mean, he has come in on, and spelled a center back and had a great game and even scored a goal or 2. So, you know what? I'm fine with this one. I understand that
goal. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with this one, man. I really don't understand the hate. I think the homie Miggy Gray said the other day, it's like those Taco Bell tacos, man. I mean, it's like always gonna hit the spot, always solid, right? And so Eric Zavaleta resigns, and then we had Asel Asenye signing as well. He signed the young defender signed a 2-year contract through the end of 2026 with the club option through 2028. The 21-year-old joins the Galaxy after having made 72 appearances across all competitions with the Galaxy second team. That's LA Galaxy 2, and then they turned into VCFC, which y'all know. He recorded 3 goals in his time there. During last year's campaign, the Cameroonian recorded 3 goals in 30 matches across all competitions for Ventura County. So there you have your center back pool, Ananda. There you have Maya. There you have Emi Garces. There you have Zavaleta. There you have Asel. Am I missing one?
Zonka.
There you go. There's your 5 center backs. So just a couple of weeks ago, we were saying the Galaxy only have one recognized signed center back, and now there you go. They have all 5 coming into camp. And yeah, just like I said, those 2 dropped on Media Day, and then we got to the digs, and it was very enlightening. We got to speak to Will, we got to speak to Greg, a couple of players like Maya. we did speak to Elijah. That one was kind of off the record because we weren't the Galaxy hadn't signed him yet. We spoke to Sean Davis, and he said all the right things in his first first words as a Galaxy player. Who else did we talk to, Ananda? Did we talk to any other players?
Davis, JP. Did you talk about JP?
That's right. Yes, we did speak to Joseph Painstill, and yes, for those of you rocking to his music, he is going to drop an album. He has a couple of tracks lined up.
That's going to be the next one, the Cookout, man. That's Cookout music right there.
Yeah, exactly. That's the playlist right there, right? But I did have a chance to talk to Will and about at the time what was like the big topic, which was Mark Delgado going to LAFC, right? So I asked him, Galaxy fans seem to be kind of perplexed, or I think the word I used was are feeling a certain sense of dread and consternation about this. So, I asked him about that move, and he said, with any move, we're trying to consider what we believe is in the best interest of the club. There's obviously downsides to it, which, I asked him, is it ever okay to, deal with the direct rival? And he says, there's obviously downsides to it from a fan's perspective, and you were sending a very good player to a direct competitor, but that's about as far as it goes. And then he said, he referenced his time with the Yankees where, the Yankees big rivals, the Red Sox, but and there are certain rules with dealing with those rivals, but as long as there's the collective agreement between the entire leadership that's the best course of action for the team or for the club, that they're going to sanction that kind of move. So that's basically what happened in this one, right? I mean, we spoke about it before. Mark Delgado goes out, giving the Galaxy some flexibility. He's on an expiring contract. On his side, he just bought a house in Los Angeles. He wants to stay and sit down roots. He gets that new contract with LAFC. I did see him in that LAFC jersey the other day, and it shook me to the core. I wasn't ready for it. But, it's good for the Galaxy because they get that flexibility. There's no two ways about it. They're like Will said, they're so up against it, and that gave them a little bit of flexibility. And then they did right by Mark, which is again something that Ananda told you guys. These players talk about stuff like that, so when it comes time to decide between this club and that club, they're going to go ahead and pick the club that they know is going to put their family's interests first. So that was just a little recap with regarding Mark, and I mentioned that he said that the Galaxy are still up against it. The colleague, the pod father, was able to ask Will, kind of along the lines of are the Galaxy done? Where do they stand with money wise, and Will did say that day as well that the Galaxy roster was fairly complete, but not done yet. The phrase that he used was they are up against it. So yeah, as it relates to the salary cap, that is, guys. So he mentioned that the moves that they were making put them in a good position to kind of move forward. Yes, Ananda. Yeah.
But he just reinforced right now, right? He feels like they're, he's never going to say never, but in terms of the foundations and the core, like he feels like it's there, right? Now it's just a matter of getting all the guys back. So I know there's a couple of guys, I think Gabriel Peck and Zanka are still, I don't know if there's any update on this, Robert, but I think they're still working out their visas. So they're not training with the team yet, I don't believe. Any other big name that's do you know if Dayon was on the bench today? Anyways, we'll talk about that a little bit too. I'm not sure if he's fully integrated. So there's some big pieces. There's some big pieces, right, that still need to integrate. And that's what hopefully we see those big pieces land at the CVI, because I can't wait to see the team and how this, especially with this new midfield, which we'll talk about in a little bit too.
Scott giving us some peace signs. Scott, if you're hitting the hay, Forza. Siempre estamos contigo. We're always with you, man. Scott did say I heard Maya was testy. I didn't get that from him too much, to be honest. I mean, he wasn't his like usual jovial self, but I mean the guy had just trained for an hour and a half, so he's probably not going to be as fresh as all hell, right? But Ananda, you kind of brought this one up to me as well, that you kind of were getting that feeling as well. What made you say that?
I think it was just like the tone, and like the tone was a little different than the previous, or maybe towards, again, recency bias, but like towards the end of the season in terms of the positivity. And but then again, I think about it again, and now you're making me sort of double take on this, which is, I believe earlier on the season, like he wasn't really happy. Remember, every time they gave up a goal, every time there was no clean sheet, like he always had that like testy, I guess is the word that was that Scott was using. He always had that kind of testy, edgy, like, and maybe that's just his sense of humor. I'm not sure. So we could be taking it the wrong way. Maybe that's just, again, just the way he jokes and kids. But I thought it was just kind of interesting. Yeah, like Josh brought this up. Podfather said that, one of the first things he brought up was, yeah, he got paid less. So I thought that was kind of an interesting to bring up first. But again, I think to me personally, probably his dry sense of humor and
it was, I think it was tongue in cheek. Yeah, I think it was a tongue in cheek joke. Like, because I mean, I was there and I didn't get like anything from his body language or anything like that, but again, I mean, when you're in a situation like that, you're trying to record, you're trying to take notes, you're also trying to get your questions in, and so like you might miss something. So I could be off as well.
Rob, do you have an answer for this one? Why would Peck have an issue since he was here last year? Like his visa, do they have to renew it every year? Is that how that works?
I'm not 100 on this, Scott. I know from my own wife that went through, the visa process and the migratory process that you do have to re-up on things.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not 100. We'll try to figure it out, or try to get some context on that. But, yeah, it seems like that's what's going on here. It's just like a renewal. So hopefully they get that taken care of sooner rather than later. We did get to speak to Will as well and Greg about Ricky's progress. We saw that picture of his right leg and his left leg, and the left leg just being dramatically different than the right leg, but he is making progress. Here you have some pictures of extension and him flexing, and he's already without crutches or without any help to get around. At least you can see in these pictures. From Will, we heard that he's in Barcelona. Of course, he's progressing well with trainer Luciano Tavares. They're always in constant contact, and Will said that the early days are really hard, but Ricky has a great mentality to get back, and he's attacking his rehab aggressively. LA Galaxy head coach Greg Vanney did let us know that he spent 5 days out there with Ricky and his family, and says it was a really good visit. Just seeing what that support system is like was really heartening for Greg, because he says that he has a fantastic support system that is kind of helping him through this, and more importantly, it's good to see that not only is Greg Vanney a coach to this guy, but like, hey, I'm gonna fly myself all the way to Spain and check on you, because you're one of my guys. So I love to see that, man. I mean, I don't really know that, and I could be wrong here. I don't really know that like a Pep Guardiola would fly all the way across the world just to check on one of his players. But I mean, that's the difference between a Galaxy organization that is out there doing good work in the community, and a organization that has 115 charges against them. But I digress. But
yeah, well, GCAM brings up a good point. Greg Vanney, the father figure. I don't know where I heard that. Was that during I forgot. I feel like I heard that during a presser somewhere, or maybe
JP
during. Yeah, that's right.
That's JP.
That's right. That's what it was. Yeah. And that was one of the things. I think I'm going to bring this up in a future episode, Rob, but
Greg Vanney taught me how to balance a checkbook day. The more you know.
But I think it's going to be interesting how Greg develops this year as a coach. I think this year, man, like it's a huge, more so than last year, believe it or not, a huge task on his hands. I think he's got a very interesting job of how to, of course, gel this team, with a lot of new pieces, but of course, with the weight of having that championship on the back of that championship, having the weight of, the public and just public opinion, just trying to do it again. But also, like, how is he going to, remember I told you about like developing players, like are we going to see another 10% jump from Sergio? Are we going to see a 50% jump from Julian Aude because he's basically missed the whole season? That to me is a very interesting one. I want to bring it up in a future episode, but man, Greg's definitely going to earn his bucks this year. That's for damn sure.
That's an interesting thought, right? Because I consider Sergio probably a top 5 DM in the league, right? So if he's going to raise that game even a little bit more, man, he's probably going to be top 3. I mean,
yeah,
incredible player already, and it's kind of scary for other teams to think that he hasn't reached his ceiling yet, right? But speaking of not reaching ceilings, we spoke to Will just a little bit ago about these academy kids, these homegrown players. I spoke to him about it the other day. I really am high on this Pepe Magana, man. Like I got to see him a little bit when they were in that last MLS Next tournament. Look at his face, man. He looks serious about his business right there. And of course, he's holding up that jersey with LA Galaxy legend Kobe Jones. Will told us that day that he was really excited about these signings and seeing them integrated in the first week of camp. And he did say that day the signings today are reflective of the work that's happened over the past 3 years. This is a product of a shift in our academy and focus on development. I am heartened to see that there's players, regardless of whether they make the first team, but they're coming out of this academy. And if say another they don't make the first team, which, let's be quite honest, the vast majority of academy players will not play on the Galaxy first team, right? Just the odds, right?
Right.
But they're not losing these players anymore. They're not just getting European teams coming in and swooping up these players anymore. Now they're tying these players to these homegrown contracts guarantees that the Galaxy is going to go ahead and get something for them. And that last picture we saw, I mean, Vicente Garcia, look at this guy, man. I mean, he's 14. He's
young buck,
right?
Yeah.
But the Galaxy and he's rocking that suit, by the way. He's wearing that. The Galaxy have faith that this 14-year-old is going to be able to, go ahead and contribute in a couple of years. I mean, they did say some of these players are here for experience and will be able to contribute to VCFC. Some of them that already showed for the first team last year now have to make that jump, right? So you're seeing that continuous replacement of talent going through, like I said, what I call the Galaxy pipeline. So from the academy to the CFC to the first team, and recycle and repeat.
But to your point, then you've got cases like what's that kid that just went to Dortmund, Rob, Albert, I can't remember his name. But yeah, so you have cases like that, right, where we are developing them, nurturing them, and then it's a business, right? We're making a profit off of them, and that's something that I don't think you could have said about the Galaxy maybe just 5 years ago. So credit to Greg. I think he was one of the pioneers in that, right? That was part of his remit when he got brought into this team by Chris Klein. So credit to Greg and just all the work that the academy staff and everyone at that team is working on. I think it's really, really good. And unfortunately, we've had our recent academy, I guess, standout or success story, Jalen go. But again, that's business. That's the life of an MLS player, I guess.
That is very true. Well, we got to also speak to new LA Galaxy player Sean Davis, new midfielder here one of the new midfielders here that we were talking about earlier. Ananda, you had some thoughts on his first words, right?
Yeah, I tweeted this and I was very happy that I got like a good reaction out of it, because I think I'm glad that people saw this the same way I did. And so I basically just said, I just listened to his interview and I was already a fan because he called the Galaxy the biggest club in the league. He's honored to play here. He said that multiple times, Robert. He was just like, I'm just going to repeat myself, but I'm just honored to be here. It seems like he already understands the weight of the Galaxy shirt and what it means to this team, or what it means to play for this team. And I think we've got a fan favorite incoming, Rob. I really do. I think he said all the right things. Of course, you were there live and in person, so I want you to sort of refute or agree with my statement. But he said all the right things. He seems like a very experienced guy. He seems like almost a replacement for Mark Delgado, not in terms of skill or ability, but just in terms of the know-how in the league. I don't think you could replace that type of experience, right? There's only a few guys probably in this league that have that type of archetype or that type of prototype. But You know what I'm actually curious about before I get your thoughts on this, which is, and this is shameless plug, but if you guys want to check it out, a week from today, I'm going to be helping our friends at the Designated Players podcast. They're a Red Bulls podcast, but they do cover the league with a couple of Red Bulls fans. I think that we interacted.
I'll be there heckling you, and I'll be there heckling you in the chat for damn sure
before MLS Cup. But I'm interested to hear, their opinion, their viewpoint on this move, and just how Sean Davis can help this team and what things he can bring into this team. Is he going to have a renaissance like Mark Delgado did last year at this point of his career? That's what I'm interested in seeing. But yeah, man, what did you think? Do you agree with me in terms of you being in that room with Sean Davis and the vibe that you got from him?
He was buzzing. He was vibrant. He was buoyant. Yeah. He was smiling. He was happy. And like you said, he said all the right things. He did say that the Galaxy were the biggest club in the league. So he already comes here understanding what the standard is and what the expectation is. He said that he can't wait to play for LA Galaxy fans. I mean, he's heard about, just how incredible that they are, and he can't wait to play for in front of them. And so, yeah, like I said, he hasn't stepped on the field yet, but he's saying the right things. He's doing the right things. So, testament to him. We had a chance to welcome him, and he just seems like a really humble guy, man. That's gonna work hard. What's that meme going around? Just a chill guy. He's just a chill guy that's going to work hard. XBH says, speaking of the academy, any idea if DBS Sun still part of the club? I believe so. XPH, I believe Gimnasia in Argentina was looking at him, but I believe that they couldn't work anything out. I'll go back and look at my notes on that one, because I did write some notes about that at a certain point. Papa Greg showed me how to overthrow a system as well. That's a father figure right there for darn sure.
Greg showed me how to wear a brown sweater underneath a blazer with a scarf tied around my neck.
Ooh, Charles. I love that scarf, by the way, by Greg. So we spoke to Sean Davis, and then we closed speaking to the heavies, Greg and Will. Colleague Scott French did ask him about Lucas Sanabria, which is been kind of how we mentioned the worst kept secret in MLS. I mean, this one has kind of dragged on, but Will says that the deal's progressing well. He's feeling confident, and it's a sooner rather than later kind of thing. So hopefully we're talking about a week instead of a month. There were reports that Sanabria did have his visa appointment already, or should have had it, according to the timeline that I'm understanding. So it should be just a short time before he's announced. Of course, they'll probably announce when I go ahead and take a nap again, because that's usually how it happens. I take a nap and then the Galaxy announce something. So yeah, man, that was media day. We actually closed media day by getting to speak to Elijah Winder, who hadn't been announced yet, but we were like, hey, he was in the canteen, and we were like, hey, can we talk to him? And credit to Galaxy Comms, who are typically awesome, and they were like, yeah, absolutely. So for those of you guys not in the know, the Galaxy announced on Sunday that the club has acquired Elijah Winder from USL Championship side Louisville FC. They signed him to a 3-year contract with the club option for 2028. This is a player who won the Young USL Player of the Year award in 2024, and so the Galaxy dropped about $400K on him. This is the record USL Championship domestic fee between USL and MLS. He recorded 11 goals and 3 assists in 84 appearances across all competitions. During 2024, he recorded 6 goals and 2 assists in 33 matches played, en route to being named that USL Young Player of the Year and being named to the USL Championship All-League second team, and helping Lou City capture the club's first ever USL Championship Player Shield. He was the comeback player of the year in 2022 after missing almost the entirety of 2021 with injury. Will did say about him, despite his young age, Elijah established himself as one of the most talented players in the USL Championship. We are excited to be adding his athleticism, technical ability, and competitiveness to our midfield and look forward to his continued development. Ananda, first impressions are that, just like I said earlier, just another one of those nice, humble guys that wants to win. Just a chill guy that wants to contribute and win, right? Like I said earlier, he wants to score goals, break up plays, cover that defense, and contribute any way he can. Yeah.
Well, that was the other thing that sparked or turned my head too, in terms of how Will was talking about Elijah, but in the broader scheme or grander scheme of just the midfield in general. And I think I'm so glad he brought up and this is like sort of an insight to Rob, and this is kind of how I think too analytically, which is you look at a certain game, certain matchups like Seattle, especially Seattle, right? Like you look at things like in the midfield and you're thinking, I wish we had a little more legs. I wish we had a little more athleticism to cover that ground, because, you're playing against guys like Christian Roldan, like an Obed Vargas. You've got Jordan Morris running down your throat, right? And of course, this year, Seattle, they just re-up their firepower, right? With Jesus Ferreira, Paul Arriola, etc. So I think the thing that he said about athleticism, the ability to cover ground, was absolutely spot on, because those are the things that I picked up on, especially after that loss. I mean, we scraped through because we have probably one of the best, if not the best, front four in the league. But now we without Ricky Puig, like, you're going to have to do it in a different way. And I think, yeah, for sure, based off of that Seattle game and the New York game as well, I think a guy like Winder is going to help us out with those attributes, man. The ability to cover ground, athleticism, being robust in those cup competitions. That definitely stood out to me, man. So it was nice to hear Will say that, for sure.
I was looking at stats earlier, and the amount of ground that Cat covered last year was impressive, right? So you're now looking at a 21-year-old midfielder in Elijah Winder, and then you're looking at a 21-year-old Lucas Sanabria coming in, and these boys are going to have legs for days, right? They're going to be able to cover that midfield,
yep.
and just run and run and run. I mean, both these players have incredible engines, so I can't wait to see them, lining up together and what that might look like. Speaking of Elijah, he did play today. He did make his official debut today. So an update on that closed door friendly that the Galaxy played against NYC FC today. There's your starting 11: Diego Fagundes, Miguel Berry, Joseph Painso, Ruben Ramos Jr., who was singled out by Will, Edwin Cerrillo, Elijah Winder, Julian Aude, Maya Yoshida, Emilio Garces, Mickey Yamane, and John McCarthy. Of course, this one was heavily rotated, guys. This one ends up 2-0 in favor of NYC FC. 2 late goals by them means they take all the bragging rights for this preseason match, right? If there are even bragging rights to be had. 86-minute goal by Monsef Bakrar, and then you had a 96-minute penalty by Julian Fernandez to make it 2-0 there. Really quick, Ananda. Adrian Hurtado says, supposedly Galaxy are going to announce an addition to the Plaza soon. Your predictions also, can we get the steam rolling onto Tino on the Plaza? Short answer, yes. I would love to see Joe in the Plaza. Of course, you see him over my shoulder. He's the angel always looking over my shoulder. The reason I'm sitting in the chair. So I would love to see him in the Plaza. Who do I think it's going to be? You already have Bex there. You already have Landon there. You need the third man in that period, in that trinity, right? So
yeah,
if I had to venture a guess, it's going to be Robbie Keane. King Kino, the real king of Los Angeles, you got a guess, Ananda? You venturing?
No, that's a really good shout. I mean, I've heard him, Kobe. Those are good candidates, right?
Oh, Kobe's a great one.
Yeah, I mean, but I think you're right. The Trinity. I mean, I can't argue that. Can't argue that for sure.
Well, but now I feel bad because Kobe deserves it just as much. And then, I mean, I give it to Don Raul.
Yeah, that's the real Don right there, bro.
Yeah, man. Sheesh. I mean, if anybody deserves it, Don Raul does. I mean, but yeah, I mean, it'd be great to eventually see one for Don Raul, one for Joe, one for Robbie Keane, one for Kobe. It'd be Awesome. And we forgot about 100 Fires, Cienfuegos, who was there for the beginning and the first championship. So any one of those people are good candidates. And then you have Cosmo, right?
Yeah.
And even though he never actually officially lined up for them, there's Riquinho as well. So
Yeah.
all right, guys, we're gonna keep it going here. We're almost to the end here with you guys, just bringing you a couple more updates.
Real quick though, you're not freaking out. You're not freaking out about this loss, are you?
Am I freaking out about what?
The loss.
No, it's preseason. Why would you be? I mean, it was a heavily rotated match. I mean, you saw a bunch of the academy and depth pieces in the second half. No, I'm not tripping at all. I mean, I don't remember what the record was last year during the CVI, but I know there was a couple of losses. I mean, I think there was like maybe one win. Interesting though that the Galaxy started the year playing against New York Red Bulls in the CVI and then ended the year playing against them. Who knows? Maybe they'll be playing NYC FC in MLS Cup next year. But no, I'm not worried at all. It's preseason. That's what these games are there for, to be putting these players through the paces to get them back up to their top physical fitness so they can actually get through the season. So nope, not at all. Kind of funny to see that some Galaxy fans were treating it, like I said, like MLS Cup, but nope, not I. Guys, like I said, we're bringing it to a close here, but we did want to let you know that the U.S. Open Cup is back this year. So, some people are still out there trying to save the cup. Well, it is still here, at least for this year, 2025. We'll see 16 MLS clubs and 10 MLS Next Pro clubs participate in the 2025 edition. They will be joining the competition in the round of 32. It has not been announced yet whether the Galaxy or VCFC will take part this year. I would be venturing to guess if it is anybody in the Galaxy organization, it's VCFC, because the Galaxy is already in at least 3 competitions, and the fourth is the Campeones Cup, which is a one-off but is still a competition. Ananda, what do you think? Galaxy first team or VCFC, or neither?
Probably VCFC, if any. I'm going to side with neither, actually, but I think VCFC, Rob.
Guys, MLS has been named the 4th highest spender in the world. You're competing with huge leagues out there, like the Premiership and like the Brasileirão. Well, MLS is dropping dollar to try to achieve Don Garber's dream of being one of the biggest soccer leagues in the world. They are 4th highest spender in the world, dropping 94 million so far in this transfer window. Of course, you're seeing these transfers like Brandon Vasquez to Austin, which was about 10, Zuni to Austin, which was about 12. Of course, that Chucky Lozano to San Diego, which was who's their marquee designated player. Jesus Ferreira going to Seattle. Wilf Zaha, which is a loan, but somebody's still paying his salary, right? So MLS dropping dollar to try to level up. Really quick, guys, last shout out here is for the homie Bruce Martin, El Mayo. He's got a book out. This is Where My Heart Lies, Through the Eyes of a Supporter. This book is fire. This is going to be 121 pages of just photos that celebrate the Galaxy community, the Galaxy itself. 165 photos. It's a very well made book, printed on 100-pound gloss paper. So this one is a relic, a one to be treasured. You're gonna want this one for sure for your coffee table. If the G in your life likes photography at all, this is one to get. This one's going for $60. You can go ahead and check that one out on the socials, but go ahead and pick this one up if you have a chance. Support the fellow G, and not only that, but you're picking up a piece of art for sure. I think that about does it for us, Ananda. Do you have anything else to add?
I starred a couple of comments. Let me see. So, just going back to the Kuntz thing, man. XPH says he was late to the show, but everyone has their opinion. But I think for a good number of us fans, Kuntz can do no wrong. And this is what I'm saying about having credit in the bank. But you made a good point, a counterpoint to mine, in that I think Will Kuntz is going to hold himself in, to account every single season, right? Whether he has credit in the bank or not. So I think that's something really interesting there. And I started this one from Leo. Fans I think this was in response to the Zava conversations, but fans were giving Barry hate last year until he won them over. It went from boos to chanting, "We want Barry." Same kind of for Zava. This goes to a larger point that I was thinking of, and maybe we'll explore this on Thursday's show. By the way, guys, we'll have the other Don Fabian Renkel on the show on Thursday. But in terms of the fact that let's give these guys a shot. Let's see what these players can do. I'm really, really excited to see all these players, Rob, in the CBI. I'm going to be looking for a couple of them. Your Winders, your Ruben Ramos, your Tucker Lepleys. Again, he impressed me in the first 45 minutes at RSLOA last year. So I'm going to be looking at those types of players, see how they've developed, right? See if they've added certain things into the game and see if they break in the first team and win over fans, right? Win over fans like Miguel Berry did for Leo and some folks as well, especially scoring that game tire against RSL at home, I believe, was that particular game, barn burner of a game. So, yeah, man, looking forward to seeing these cats at the CVI again, just to see it. I love, by the way, I think I tweeted about this. Like, I love the player development side of the game. Like, I just love that side and just see how players grow and mature. So, really, really excited to see them up close and personal, man. CVI.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the CVI. That's less than 2 weeks away now. The Galaxy's first game there will be February 5th against Austin. And along those lines, we will have next Monday, February 3rd, our preview of the Galaxy's first game of the CVI with We Are Austin TV. The homies from Austin will be with us. So that's right. We'll have our first match preview of the year. You'll have the LA Galaxy versus Austin preview. And in case you didn't catch it, because Ananda did mention it, but just so you guys know for sure, we are back to messing up your Thursday nights. So look out for us on Thursday night this week, January 30th at 9 p.m. with our good friend, Don Fabirenko of Footwork. And of course, you've seen his work everywhere. So be here to check it out. I mean, he's up there, boots on the ground in San Jose, checking out what's going down with this Bruce
definitely going to talk to him. Definitely going to talk to him about that, Papa. Jeez.
Yeah, for sure. And then we'll also touch on how he sees the West shaping up, which is much stronger this year, with Seattle getting even better, with San Jose returning to prominence, Austin leveling up real big. So we'll talk to Favi about that as well. And I think that about covers it for us, guys. If you are here, it's because you found us at youtube.com/@Lacuna Galaxiana. Go ahead and please give us that subscribe. Please give us that like, and we will love you forever. Anandita, last word. Let's get on out of here.
You got it.
Only one thing left to say. LA strong. Vamos campeones. And G's up. Yo.